I see. Okay, well, it could be that like Fey magic doesn't have to be identified as Fey magic. Fey magic is just they have instincts, right? They're a little bit more connected to nature. Like when I think about the Feywild, I think about how it's it's largely the Feywild is just like out the at the outer reaches of nature. So like the more understanding you have of the wild, the likelier the chance that you're just going to sort of touch on that fringe, that you're going to touch on that sort of veil that sort of sits, that sort of hides the Feywild, because the Feywild's sort of everywhere all the time, but how do you access it? How do you get there? Like the mystery is what keeps that magic interesting. So recognizing, sensing Fey magic is really just sort of a heightened. Like I could see that it translated to mean sort of just like a heightened awareness or almost like an animal instinct, maybe survival instinct. It's just operating so above the norm that it's maybe picking up on more than others can, and it would maybe be strange. Like I could imagine a creature sensitive to fey magic without realizing it would probably be one that maybe just like I don't know, they never get lost, but also sometimes they disappear and people lose track of them in the forest, but they always find their way back. And it could be that this person, without realizing it, is sort of navigating in and out of the Feywild without ever consciously doing it. That kind of, that could be true of, in my mind, lots of characters without them necessarily being like born there.
This forest is the domain of a Fey dragon, and your characters weren't invited and are greeted by combat with fairies and shambling mounds. For fun, have the last people to try and make their way through the forest half digested inside the shambling mounds. Anyway, the real show begins when all the action causes the Fey dragon to show up. After some posturing, after she talks herself up, she was a member of the Spring Court after all, the dragon will notice the magic items the party is carrying. She adores the taste of magic, so she eats the magic from them, instantly reducing the items to common status. You should pick out the items beforehand, based on what the characters use that also is high in magic. So that's terrible for the players, it's unfair even, but this dragon will offer their magic back, all of it, in exchange for something more delicious, spoken truth from each of them, something shocking that maybe they hadn't even admitted to themselves before.
They're just they just so happen to be fairly attuned, and understanding that why can be character defining. It can be a side quest. It can be something that a character wants to learn about themselves. Like why is it? Like why is this true about me? It's almost like the way that some people are just sort of naturally have an easier time like hearing pitch or hearing like, oh, that's a you know identifying musical notes or chords or things like that, or things being in tune or not. Like I have a really hard time identifying things like pitch, but some people. Hey Charlie, Aesop Rock made a rap concept album kind of like the Feywild called Spirit World Field Guide about how to survive in a super surreal kind of place. That sounds kind of neat and very like specific. Good poll. Niz, your 1 year painting output is less than this, at least in volume. Well, that's okay. Or would you rather the response, looks like you better kick it up into gear. You better catch up. Everything's a competition, right? I go through spurts of painting, and then periods of time where I don't really paint new stuff at all. Had the realization too last night while thinking about the videos that I'm going to be making about stairs, and realizing that I might be making a very long video about stairs, guys. We might need to mentally prepare for like not only a tutorial video about how to build some of these, but also like breaking down the encounters that I'm designing to go with it, the stat block for the mimic stairs, and like how to run it at a couple different levels. Like I've got some ideas for like trap things to add. Hey Schweens. So this might be this I sort of came to terms last night that it's like, wait, this is kind of insane to start with a concept like, stairs like this and then end up making all this stuff off of it. Kind of realized that starting with a little idea and then sort of spiraling out into larger things, that's kind of just what I always do. So whether it's stairs or whatever the next thing is, I just need to embrace it and make more stuff. So that's what I'm going to do. Somebody's got to obsess about stairs for a little while.